I had to make a video about this because something is happening. If you're a Christian on social media, it's impossible not to notice the shift that has happened over the last, I'm going to say 2 to 3 years on social media. But more recently, something has shifted. Now, there's really interesting development with Joe Rogan that I'm going to talk about in a second. But when you look at the internet as a whole at this point, there's been a rise of YouTube Christian apologists. I think about Cliff and Stewart. Those guys absolutely blew up. They did the circuit, doing a number of podcasts that were not Christian specific, answering questions about God, about faith, about salvation. Like 10 years ago, if we were to say, yeah, a Christian apologist got on like a podcast with millions of viewers, we would be like, that's insane. Like, how did that happen? And yet that is happening more and more. And then Wes Huff, he absolutely blows up, which I don't think was a coincidence. God is sovereign, guys, and he uses things like this to bring about his purposes. He was on Joe Rogan. Millions of people saw that, saw the evidence of the Bible, heard the gospel, and he's just continued on going on other people's podcasts that have massive audiences. It's just exciting to see. Now, Wes Huff, who's at the center, I believe, of this shift right now, was on a podcast and he was talking about his ongoing relationship with Joe Rogan and kind of Joe Rogan's shift from being anti-Christian to now, well, you hear it from him.
And have you talked to Joe Rogan since your out of the park conversation with him?
Well, my conversation with Rogan went 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a little bit longer than this conversation. But yes, Joe Rogan and I have had on and off communication since then. I can tell you for a fact that he is attending a church and that that has been a consistent thing. And so, things are happening, and he's a very inquisitive individual, and I think for the better in that he's communicating with me and other people in his life who are influences that can speak into these issues of reliability and trustworthiness and verisimilitude of something like the pages of Scripture and where he should and shouldn't be looking for the information in regards to that. So I am very encouraged by the communication that I have been able to have with him and others over these last few months in this kind of crazy season that I find myself in. But
Joe Rogan, he was literally making fun of Christians for years and years. And we talked about that and we addressed those videos and we responded to them and gave biblical critiques and answers. And yet finally, like something is happening in his heart. And I don't know where this is going. Like, pray for him. Yeah, he's attending church. Now, I don't want this to be similar to the Kanye situation. Now, a few years ago, Kanye said he dedicated his life to the Lord and he made this Christian album. And I even made videos about it, talking optimistically about how impactful this could be for the kingdom. But then he proceeded to unite with people like Joel Osteen, and then progressively his music after that and his behavior after that went kind of the reverse of Christianity. Like he kind of lost all the things that he was saying previously. Now, I'm not sure about the state of Kanye's soul. I don't know that. I do know the things that he's done in public have been very antithetical to how a Christian would act. I don't know him personally. I don't know if he's just like straying very far, but he is a Christian. It doesn't seem like he is. So I don't want to pull that on Joe Rogan, start claiming, oh, Joe Rogan's going to come to the faith and he's going to be this powerhouse for Christianity and his podcast is going to turn into a Christian podcast. I don't know any of that, and we don't know any of that.
Terrence McKenna had a great line about the difference between science and religion is that science only asks you for one miracle. I want you to believe in one miracle, the Big Bang.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
It's because it really is true.
Yes.
And it's funny because people would be incredulous about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but yet they're convinced that the entire universe was smaller than the head of a pin, and for no reason than anybody's adequately explained to me. It makes sense.
Yeah. No.
Instantaneously became everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't buy that.
I'm sticking with Jesus on that one.
I think the point of this is to recognize that God is working and he's doing something. And we are invited to be a part of his work, not regardless of whether we're the West Huff of the world being given these opportunities, I think the reality is West Huff was a Bible scholar, part of a small Canadian ministry that I knew about, that I was connected with those guys, and yet he just all of a sudden skyrocketed to popularity. It wasn't because he was trying so hard to become famous or whatever. Like, he stewarded what influence he was given, and God honored that, and he gave him this opportunity. With Cliff and Stuart too. Do you realize how long Cliff has been doing those on campus like witnessing stuff? Like, he's been doing it for years and years and years.
The identity of Jesus of Nazareth. Was he God in human form, or was he just a great prophet? And now you've got to discriminate. You have to look for evidence of reliability, and then you've got to make your decision. Yes, Jesus was God in human form. No, Jesus was not God in human form.
I don't want to look at some guy in the face and say, you don't believe in Jesus Christ and you're going to hell.
He has a sin problem. I have a sin problem. We both deserve to go to hell because of the evil we both have done. But Jesus Christ loves us both so much that he bled and died on a cross to forgive us.
And he was faithful with it. And I'm not saying that, okay, you be faithful with this and then one day you're going to be on Joe Rogan. That's not what I'm saying. But it's to be faithful with the little influence that you have, because that means something, because those people are important and they're image bearers of God. And one day, God may give you the opportunity, if you steward that wisely, to reach more and more people for him. The truth is, I don't think I'm ready for Joe Rogan. Like, I'm not ready to be on there to be able to talk to him for 3 hours, to, go in the depths of, all this stuff. Like, I don't think I'm ready for that, but I'm preparing. I'm trying to steward what I have, what God has given me, develop my giftings and my skills. So when that opportunity arises, whether it's Joe Rogan, probably not, but maybe something else, that I will be ready through the power of God. I pray you guys were blessed by this video, and until next time, God bless.